Hi, welcome to Lecture 1 on Unit 4, Citizenship, Political Parties, the Public, Campaigns, and Elections, which is where we've been working. When you've been doing your presentations on presidential elections, you had also done chapter readings on this topic. So I'm going to go through the notes that you will find in your consolidated notepad, which I'm also planning to attach below so that you can get to the right page and follow along with your notes. Now, I could stand here and wait while you get the notes and have them available to you, maybe even print some of them, but I'm going to assume that you can hit the pause button. So, here we go. Political participation and political parties in the public. First off, how does a person develop ideas? That's a basic question. How do you get somebody as liberal as Ethan or as conservative as me, who both come from the same country, or as conservative as any of the several conservative students in the class? The answer is, first of all, we're all individuals and we all think differently. But there are some exterior factors that affect how a person develops ideas. This is called political socialization. It's basically how a person learns about the world and what basic lessons that they learn. I'm not talking lessons like vocabulary. I'm talking lessons like how the world works. Does the world work through force, or does the world work through persuasion? Is honesty, in fact, the best policy, or is honesty for chumps and losers to be exploited by the clever? These are basic lessons that aren't quite religious, but they come close to being religious in the sense that these become so core to a person's way of looking at the world that they cannot help but see things through the lens of these values that they develop. Now, political socialization is a way of thinking about how the outside world shapes a person's beliefs. So let's look at that. First off, public opinion is an expression of the political socialization of a nation's citizens at any given moment. Public opinion is like a waterfall. It's constantly moving, it's constantly changing, and you don't want to get in its way. Public opinion is not something that you can logically say that every action provokes an equal and opposite reaction, because we are human beings. We are not water molecules. Heat a water molecule and it becomes steam. Cool it and it becomes ice. Keep it at a moderate temperature, by Earth standards anyway, and it remains liquid. However, if you put pressure on people, individuals will react differently, and groups of people will also react differently, perhaps unpredictably. So, public opinion is the critical mass of what individuals in a society tend to agree on, or tend to believe, or tend to think, or tend to want. The reason it changes is because while you have dyed-in-the-wool people who stand for certain ideas, we'll talk about that later, most people tend to be fairly pragmatic. They tend to look at the world and say, what do I need to do right now? Do I need the skill sets of riding my bicycle, which I vaguely remember how to do? Or do I need the skill sets to play basketball, which are a little different? Or do I need the skill sets to appeal to that attractive other person that I want to get to like me? Or do I need the skill sets to have a nice Thanksgiving dinner with my family? Those are all different skill sets. They require different things from us. Public opinion tends to change. For example, 1 or 2 months ago, people had heard about the Chinese flu, the Wuhan virus, the coronavirus called COVID-19, but it was something happening halfway around the world. Very few people paid serious attention to it who weren't already in the government or involved in medicine or who weren't political junkies like myself. Most people didn't really start thinking about it being important until the toilet paper disappeared from grocery store shelves. We're going to talk about that one too. So, public opinion changes moment by moment. If you asked people 2 months ago or 1 month ago several questions about COVID-19, you would get a lot of answers grounded in I don't know and I don't care. Today, people think it's very important. After all, you're hearing this message in your homes or in your friends' homes or on some device somewhere, who knows. Take me somewhere fun. If you end up going to a beautiful place, play one of these lectures and aim it at the beautiful vistas that you're seeing. Public opinion is like a waterfall. It's constantly changing, it's constantly moving, and you don't want to get in its way. How is a person politically socialized? Well, part of it has to do with their parents, but not all of it. I know people with very liberal parents. I had very liberal parents, and look at me. I'm as conservatives get. But I know a lot of people who have liberal parents, and they are very liberal themselves, who have conservative parents, and they're very conservative themselves. But here's something that normally happens. When a person is being raised by people who have a certain belief, there's a period of time where there's nothing you want in the world than to be more like mommy or daddy. And that tends to be at a young age. Mommy and daddy are the world. They are the heroes. They are the role models. Maybe older brother or sister or uncle or aunt fill that role too. Maybe grandma or grandpa. But there comes a point, sometime between adolescence and adulthood, where most people end up saying, you know what? Mom and dad are like that giant statue in Greek folklore that has all these various metal parts and heavy stone parts, but feet of clay. Mom and dad aren't perfect. Just because mom and dad says something doesn't make it right. It just makes it their judgment. Many people rebel. It's not necessarily a permanent rebellion, but it's fairly normal. The way that a child gets stronger is by pushing against the people around them and seeing what happens. That's how they learn about the world, and it's how they develop strength, like lifting weights. Well, sometimes a parent who has heretofore had a kid who's been, yeah, let's go with this belief, suddenly challenges that belief and becomes the most big, giant pain in the neck you can possibly imagine. Does this sound at all familiar? So, political socialization involves the parents. But it's not as simple as liberal mom, liberal dad produces liberal child. And it's not even as simple as liberal mom, liberal dad produces conservative child who rebels. Because we're people. It's more complicated. We will continue with this theme in the next lecture. Thank you for your attention. It's good to see you again.